Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Harry Brailsford with SMB Nation coming to you live from Seattle, Washington. An ongoing contribution to our weekly seminar series, webinar series, excuse me. We're all wackadoo over here, by the way, guys. We're just coming off the fall conference, and so my tongue's a little twisted, and good Lord, about 70% of the staff caught the cold going around, which tends to happen at public events. So we're all just kind of getting it back together this week. Thank you so much for your support once again this year with the fall conference. And one of our speakers who delivered an intriguing conversation is Grace Schroeder, the CEO of Idea2 out of Manhattan in the New York City area. So she's with us today and essentially is going to tell her story to a bigger, faster, better audience about Sasquatch and the Slack combination. And I think you're going to be very interested in what this does from a couple of levels. This kicks off a three-part webinar series. So today's kind of the hello world, and then we dig deeper and deeper and deeper over the next few webinars. And the outcome of it is number one, you might see ways to run your MSP practice, your CSP practice better. And then number two would be you may be able to make this a service that you offer to people in your day-to-day world. So with that said, Grace, are you out there, and what's the weather like in Manhattan?
It's beautiful. It's been one of the most beautiful falls you could imagine, and looking forward to a little cold weather. That sounds unusual. So thanks everybody for joining. I'm excited to be able to tell you guys the story. By way of background, Idea2 is a platform company, and our platform specializes in building custom solutions. And those custom solutions most typically integrate with other popular applications that are on the World Wide Web. So our product, Sasquatch, is our Slack companion application, and we're very excited about the Slack integration that we've done because we're excited about Slack in general. So what I was hoping to do today is enlighten you guys, for those of you who are not using Slack today, about the glory of Slack, and further show you how easy it is to sort of bypass what used to be legacy systems to run your businesses in another way. So the eliminate internal email, never drop a ball, and keep your business flowing. And I'll tell you, since we have started using this product and we use this to run our own company, those three things have happened exactly. So why is Slack lighting the world on fire? And it's a very interesting story, and if you Google it, you'll see, you can read about the story. But Slack was really it started off as a game company, and the developers had built this internal tool to run their own projects. And though the game didn't work out, this tool took hold amongst them and their friends, and they really did a very simple thing, and they took the concept of chat, which people live in today, where you are chatting with another human, or two or three humans are chatting about a particular topic, and they said, well, all of those humans should be chatting about the topic. We should organize chat around a topic instead of around a human. And that fundamental pivot was the kernel of what makes Slack so powerful. So think about it. Instead of email, you can create these topics, and Slack calls them channels, and I will show you an example of this. You can create this topic. Anybody that chats about the topic, all of that information stays in one place. So if people aren't participating in the chat but they want to know what's going on, they can just scroll up and down within that chat instead of searching through emails to find the information they need. And this simple pivot has skyrocketed this company, that in addition to the fact that it's so easy to use that people are literally abandoning crazy old CRM and just sort of using Slack to start to run their daily lives. What is Sasquatch? So as a platform company, Idea2 can build custom applications around anything. Our customers, and we build them ourselves on our platform, they range from call centers to accounting firms to people that manage vendor relationships with applications we've built on the platform. So what we built for a Slack companion is a very simple tool that just manages contacts, channels, your to-dos, and your workflows. Because if you strip away everything that a lot of bloated software is trying to deliver, you really get down to the base information that you need to know about, and that is your customers, your contacts, and what you're going to do with them every day. And so that is the interaction that we've created with Slack in a very simple way to automate what you do every day and take away some of the pain of jumping in and out of systems that don't really work together. So how does Slack and Sasquatch work together? Well, the Slack interface is lovely. We spend our day in chat, and we organize our chat along our clients. And in that chat process, typically there are action items that come out of there, and there are to-dos or notes related to a customer that we want to keep track of. So what we've done is created a way to use Slack as the primary interface, and thereby keeping all of our customer records up to date, keeping all of our action items totally managed. All of that can happen in Sasquatch in a very seamless way, and I'll show you that in just a second. So the output is that you can actually get out of email to keep your company organized, keep your tasks rolling, keep your opportunities rolling, your follow-ups rolling. You're not going to fight a clunky CRM anymore. You can include customers in Slack so that they can also chat, and you can include customers in Sasquatch with customer-only views. And then the best thing is it's very affordable, flexible, and easy to use. So it's not, you're not signing up for a very, very expensive licensing agreement, and we all know how many of those types of implementations tend to fail. So I'm going to attempt with all of my technical prowess to switch windows now to show you Slack, but I'm not going to guarantee success. Okay, here we go. So now, Jenny, can you verify that you can see my Slack screen?
We can. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. So what you're looking at now, for those of you who have not used Slack, is you're looking at Slack. And on the left-hand side here, you see a variety of teams. And Slack is organized around teams. This particular team is the demo Sasquatch team, so you're not going to see a lot of information in it. This is the team that we actually use to run our business. And so as you can see up here, all of these channels are projects or topics or things that we're working on. And that is the basis of the Slack organization scheme. So that as you come up with a new project or channel, and a channel could be a customer project, a channel could be an opportunity, a channel could really be anything, you simply add a channel here and then invite people to join the channel so that all of the relevant players are operating in your channel. And then as people chat in the channel, all of the information that they're talking about sits resident in this one view. So that doesn't mean you can't have direct messages. You can still have direct messages. It just means that the bulk of the conversations are around topics, and this is what the tool itself functions best at, is keeping all the information about a particular topic in one place and readily accessible by all. So that, as simple as it is, also has integrations and team directories, very, very simple to manage. If any of you aren't using it, I highly encourage you to try it. You can have a free version up to 3,800 users as long as you're not using some of the more advanced features. So on the Sasquatch side, now we're showing the Sasquatch side. What we've built is a very simple tool that lines up the channels in Slack with the items in Sasquatch so that you can manage your companies. You can have all of the company information. You can import all of this. You can have it synchronized from your contacts database. You can manage your contacts here, also synchronized from your contact base, whether that's Google or Microsoft. And then the channels, these are what interact with the channels in Slack. So that as we create a to-do in Slack, it actually puts a to-do in Sasquatch that has complete workflow. And so let me give you an example of that. I created today this channel called ABC Chemical Company, and I thought, well, it might be a channel type, it's an opportunity. And so if your company is all working on ABC Chemical Company as an opportunity, you would add that here. And then bouncing over to Slack, you'll see ABC Chemical Company over here. So if I had a follow-up to do, call the CFO to check on pricing, I would hit that follow-up to do inside of ABC Chemical Company, and that follow-up would wind up in Slack, in Idea 2. So in this way, we can interact with Idea 2, with Sasquatch out of Slack without having to bounce back and forth between the two systems. To get an example of the types of commands that are available, #open tasks will bring up all of your open tasks. All of these commands can be run in Slack, and yet the data can come out of Idea 2. So to conclude, if you were to think about getting your companies out of email, you would organize around a situation that just simply managed contacts, customers in a back-end tool, Sasquatch, and use Slack as a primary interface with both your customers, your internal employees, and any partners or resellers that you might be engaging in the context of an engagement. So I'm going to stop there, Harry, and see if anybody has any questions.
Okay, so folks, be sure to use the chat feature on your console for GoToMeeting to ask your questions. Grace, at this point, we don't have questions, so folks, be sure to use the chat feature to ask those questions, and Jenny and I will make sure that they're properly presented to Grace. Grace, go ahead.
So the general concept then of using multiple existing applications instead of any one, and so this is how a ticket, once you create a ticket, the link shows up, is a concept that we've been working with for a number of years now. And in the old days, you would buy an application and you would look at a feature matrix and you would try to decide if it had every single feature under the sun, and typically people would buy the product that had the most features for the money. Well, in today's world, and the reason we're so excited about this Slack Sasquatch combination is that you really can choose the tools that work for the function you need. So if you look at Slack, Slack is an interface for their daily ongoing stream of activity that's a much better interface than email. So what we've done with Sasquatch is said, well, how do you augment that? Because you cannot fight against the fact that Slack has 1 million daily users. So the humans are enjoying using it. And what we want to do is let the humans use what they want to use, and thereby you wind up with a very nice, complete customer record and a nice way to run tasks because the people are actually using the functionality that you're bringing to the table. So I'll say, for our company, we used to, run on Google spreadsheets and run our customer lists there. And the way we run our business now is strictly through Slack. We have a Slack support channel, and we have back-end tasks and to-dos that are assigned to people in the company. Check on the T, and this lets us very, very crisply manage all of our business without a lot of fuss. So it's a better mousetrap, a better way to operate. So what we're hoping to do today is see how interested people are in this concept, and we're happy to offer a very exciting introductory offer for people that are interested. And so we have a very simple product out there that people are free to try for 30 days, and then thereafter the pricing will be $100 a month for unlimited users. So if you're interested in the concept, we're happy to give you your own version of Sasquatch, which will come with the instructions of how to hook it up to your own Slack, and you can try it out for 30 days for free, and then thereafter, for a limited time only, it would be $100 a month for unlimited users. So you could really try out operating on Slack without spending a lot of money, and you'll certainly learn a lot in the process about the most exciting application that has come along in a long, long time. So that's all I've got for everybody today.
Yeah, no problem. So just to double check, if anybody has some questions they'd like to ask, now's the perfect time, and you'll be invited again to the second and the third webinars as part of this series as we not only explore Slack, but then the way to exploit the functionality. Grace, what I can tell you is in a couple of different realms, probably a handful, literally 5 different realms. I've started using Slack to better manage the S&B Nation process, our startup called BizTech Experts, a client over in the lead scoring area, and it's I'm learning as I go, but I like the free-form nature of it, and contrast that with some other, for lack of a better phrase, some other environments that I must work with, and the lack of flexibility, And again, I know I'm kind of talking at 50,000 feet, and part of that is to be politically correct and not offend anybody on the debate stage. But it's just a different paradigm, and the more I get into it, the more I learn. Because Grace, when I first was introduced to Slack by one of our partners, Patrick Houston, who's helping us out with BizTech Experts, I said, train me. And he said, well, okay, go ahead and make an entry, type something in and hit enter. I did, and he said, you're now trained.
Right. It's very low friction, and as I've been in this business creating custom applications for 5 years now, getting people to use systems is very, very difficult, and Slack took that away. It took it away for 3 of our clients so far, and we're basically marching into most of our clients saying, you absolutely need to use it. You absolutely need to use the integration, because your customer records are going to wind up so much better. There will be ready track and visibility into everything that you were asked to do and everything that you did. Your customers will then, if you want them to, also have access to the list of things you've done for them, so that there's an ongoing relationship and value being demonstrated, because it's all there in one place. And then, from there, customers are usually very curious because they like the way that we interact with them, and then they're all starting to also want to go down that path as well. And there are a lot of money-making opportunities in that path. Today, there are a few people out there that are sort of specializing in writing individualized bots, but to my knowledge, there's nobody out there with a back-end tool that we have that really lets us do some very, very exciting things. So even as that Sasquatch starts out as a simpler tool, we will be pushing enhanced functionality as we build out our integration with them to include more functionality, including #FC to fetch contacts and all sorts of other things. And by the way, Slack runs very well on your mobile device, so now you're interacting with your CRM, you're interacting with your chat, everything in one window, and it really, really works very well.
Okay, Grace, I do have a few questions, and apologies to Robert, Peter, and Ron. I was in the wrong window, so I found the proper window for the questions. Bob Nitrio says, many of us are one-person IT consultants who would be very interested in working with you in Sasquatch. Do you have NFR accounts for us to use internally and for demo purposes? So, maybe you want to clarify the offer, but the question on the table is Bob, who's a very curious individual, would like to learn your product, work with it on an NFR basis, and then roll it out to clients first with a demo, and then everybody makes money. Grace?
Yep, absolutely. So the offer, that's for I will do. This is a small crowd, right? I will do a unlimited free for you, for some period of time. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. Okay, Grace, if you could go ahead and write that up, and tomorrow when we send the thank you email, folks, we'll put that in the email.
Okay.
Grace, totally appreciate that, and if you could, clarify that, we'll get it out to the people. So we have Peter asking, where and who host Slack and Sasquatch?
Okay.
And how, well, hold on. How would client companies back up the whole thing? So backup and where and who host.
Okay. So starting with the Slack piece, Slack is hosting their own data, and there are 2 ways to buy. So Slack is free. If you are using the free version, however, you're limited in the amount of search you can have. So, for example, all of the things that you chat about in Slack are searchable, but if you have the free version, that only goes to some limited number, and then I think they just destroy the data or do whatever they do with the data. I actually don't know the answer to their terms of conditions in terms of who owns the data for a free version. So that's Slack. So if you push a ticket, however, into Sasquatch, then that's your data, right? We do not own the data. You own the data, and this becomes a you can completely export it anytime you want. That's all free. We don't charge for that. And this data is all hosted currently at Amazon Web Services. We back up every 2 hours. We've never had an outage, save for one Cloudflare taking our DNS off the map for 3 hours 2 or 3 years ago, and that's all fully backed up and hosted at Amazon.
Okie dokie. So the next question is from Ron. What if you are Google Apps oriented? What if you are Google Apps oriented? Does Slack Sasquatch still fit in? So the fit with Google Apps. And maybe a little bit of an API conversation here, Grace, if that's part of the answer.
So as I'm showing you Sasquatch, which is a runtime application, and I know you've heard me talk about Idea 2 a little bit. Idea 2 is the platform on which Sasquatch was built. And I'll go ahead and dare take a moment and show you, let me make sure I'm on the right one, no, and show you the platform. So this is the Sasquatch runtime application. The way we build that is back here. And so we have the ability to add a lot. This has one endpoint. We have the ability to add a lot of endpoints. So the Google Calendar and Google Contacts are the most popular that we have, and these allow you to essentially, and this is a more custom version, this is not coming on the $100 a month version, but these allow us really to add putting anything with a time field on your Google Calendar and synchronizing your contacts so that we can, as we fetch a contact out of Slack, it's really coming into Idea 2 and from your Google Contacts. So we have the ability to integrate with anything. And then the other back end, for those of you who are technically curious, the other back end greatness to this is all of these are the listeners that create the action. So create a task in Slack, now create a task in Sasquatch. These are all configured to do that. And these configurations, again, we will enhance this starter product over time. This is just the starter version for now. So really the sky's the limit. Technically, the way this offer will come out is everybody will be on the same version. If somebody falls in love and decides, you know what, I've got 6 or 7 other systems, I want these all to work together, we can divorce their application from the mothership, and we can continue on with that application as a completely custom app. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, and I think part of the audience has fallen in love with you. We have someone who wants to take you to lunch. No. Grace, you started it. You started it. So I'm gonna finish it. So there. So Ron has a follow-up question, actually a clarification.
Mm-hmm.
The second part of his question is essentially, what about apps that are not Google apps oriented? So just the reverse story. You've kind of answered it that you can be anything to anything, but maybe you want to hit that one head on. So not Google apps and the interface with Slack Sasquatch.
So can you see this modular window that's showing all of these other integration points?
There you go.
So there are 2 ways to go at this. These are packaged endpoints that we've already built. Again, if somebody wants something custom, we can add endpoints for them. We also have this HTTP endpoint that's very basic, and we also have an FTP endpoint because we exchange a lot of records from age-old systems that people don't want to upgrade. So if you're looking at a situation where somebody has an old system that they cannot end of life, we can take an extract out of that, put it up in an FTP file, and import it into Sasquatch for daily use.
Okay, great.
But that is more of a custom engagement than what we were talking about earlier, which is a starter app just to sort of see how the Sasquatch and Slack interactions work.
That's right. And I think that kind of is the intent of the conversation today is first steps, and help people understand the paradigm. So that does clear out the questions. So what I would offer is let's go ahead and up. We have another. Okay, happy to ask them. What about Microsoft Office integration with SQL? So I'm assuming. Let's assume SQL Server. So Microsoft integration with SQL or SQL Server, and this is from Peter.
So we haven't done any Microsoft endpoints yet. So that would be a custom engagement. We don't have any sort of properties that we could, release to the rest of the world. But there isn't anything that we cannot integrate with as long as it can integrate with anything. And I say that because I've run into old ERPs, like it was a Microsoft-based ERP. I don't even know if it's still alive, but I don't know if God makes people that still works on it, called Macola. And this thing had no API, and there was no, the expense of putting an API wrapper on some of this old stuff is more than just a forklift upgrade or a replacement.
Yeah, and I think what you're really saying here is herein lies, in my opinion, the consulting opportunity. So Peter, I see this as much of an opportunity as, more than anything else. This isn't a negative. This is, curiosity. I'd like to do this, and great. Grace and her team can work with you and your client on that type of integration. And it's like anything, it's all got to make sense, right? It's all got a ROI, but that's a good question. So folks, we'll take one more question, and then we'll clear the deck. See if we have any more popping in. So with that said, what I would offer on Slack is that you can basically, there's been some really good articles written about it. Go ahead and Google News on Slack, and you'll see some news on the valuation. So Grace, you're right that they're projecting a valuation right now of like $2 billion. Some of the conversations have it certainly north of $1 billion in valuation,
well,
and then.
It's taken over the world. I mean, literally, so I don't have this implemented on this demo version, but you can have a unique email address for each one of these channels so that when you get an email that you need to share with the teams, you don't email it to them, you email it to Slack, and then you can see on the email, what is going on. So here's an email, right? What is going on that needs to be addressed. And from here, once the email pops in here, we can create a job that runs that email into a task so that you can always have it, make sure that none of those balls are dropped, and you're not going down big scrolling lists of emails to figure out who did what and to whom. And then gradually you train your clients to do the same thing. You give them the email address. Don't send it to me. Send it straight into this email address, add it as a contact to your contacts, and whenever you have an issue, send it to this, and then they send the email straight in to Slack where everybody can see it, everybody can work on it. The ticket's generated in Sasquatch, and the ticket can be worked and workflowed in Sasquatch through to completion. And then, the way we run our meetings is open to-dos, closed to-dos, and then when they're closed, we run them by the customer, and then after the customer sees them, we mark them archived. And then that has a running total that, yes, the customer agrees it's closed, I agree it's closed. But it's not one of those nitpicky ticketing systems that, that people love to hate.
There you go. Well, let's make that the final word. So folks, stand by for our forthcoming schedule. You get a thank you email tomorrow morning. So Grace, I'll connect with you a little bit later in terms of crafting the offer that we can present to people, and we'll go from there. Have a great day, folks. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everybody. Bye.